That, ladies and gentlemen, was Zodira's friend made a video with an animator, and her, I believe what she said was that the hair physics had gotten messed up, and so you had done this meme where your avatar was like doing some workout. And
Wait,
it
was that in the intro?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, I completely missed the intro. I'm stuck in an advertisement.
So basically, welcome everybody. We are here for the 12th episode of season 2 of the Made in Dreams podcast. I'm your host, Mighty Vicious, here with Jamie James, the Emperor. He's had a bit of a rough day. You know, we're gonna try to perk him up a little bit, but we also are here again with Zodira to literally talk about things that are gonna blow my mind and have me sitting here in dumb face because it's logic. It's logic based. So, look. Zodira, how you doing?
I'm doing good.
She paused for dramatic effect.
Okay, because her avatar did too. It was like that.
No,
I'm going a minute. And so, yeah. So it's been. I really need to start recording the conversations that happen before we go live. Like, I want to sometimes, but I think if I did, my computer, which it's not the worst, but it might blow up because we all know how Streamlabs act. But we had some great conversations. We're not going to go into all of them during this, but we might get back to one of the most important ones.
Great conversation.
So, let's go ahead and get started. Zodira, for those that weren't here for the backstory last week, give us a little catch up on who you are in dreams and in real life, and just tell us your story.
I am a meat popsicle.
I'm sorry, you're a what?
A meat popsicle.
Meat popsicle.
Okay.
I'm on the edge of my chair.
Maybe that's too old of a reference. Anyway,
I hope not.
Go watch The Fifth Element. It's a really good movie.
Okay.
Watched it 2 weeks ago.
I have been in the dreams community since about the very, very start of early access, though I've been messing with the type of logic that Medium Molecule messes with, which is in dreams, since Little Big Planet 2. I've also delved into physics-based logic in Little Big Planet 1. And before that, I was doing like circuitry as a mini hobby when I was a kid.
Was that the whole rundown?
That is pretty much the whole rundown.
Okay.
Just your random girl who has too much time on her hands and grew up with too many people who knew too many things.
And I'm partially remembering from last week, but you said that your parents are what were their professions?
So my dad, I didn't actually say anything about my parents, but my dad,
Are you sure?
Yeah, sure. My dad was a I forget what it's called. A drafter? But not like drafting for the military. He would make blueprints for pipelines related to the oil industry.
Okay.
And boats and other things. If there was a pipe that needed to be drawn, he would draw it. My mom, she went to college for programming back when computers used punch cards.
Oh wow. Okay.
And my grandfather on my mom's side is, well, my late grandfather on my mom's side was an Apollo engineer for the Apollo space program.
Okay,
Wow.
see, Liam said, I remember scientists and yoga instructors. See, I
Yeah.
remember the scientist part. So maybe
Yes.
maybe it wasn't your parents. It was
My
the
aunt
family.
is the yoga instructor.
Ah.
Also, a little tidbit: my aunt, the yoga instructor, used to own a company where she owned those quarter machines you find in stores. You know, you put a quarter in, you get a toy back, or you get, you know, a gumball, some candy back. Me getting a phone call for a reminder of therapy tomorrow.
Important.
Or Monday. They always call me. Let me put this on. Do not disturb. For now. Sorry about that.
It's going to be one of those episodes.
Yes.
It is.
I
love it.
But
Let's go.
but she ran one of those companies, and I, for a little bit, when I was younger, helped her by refilling them, repairing them, stuff like that. So that's kind of where the idea for the magic gumballs machine in the entropy games randomness that I made.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So
And
again, and you said you started with Logic. If once again, my memory may not be on point. I question everything now because I got the parents thing wrong. But you said you had like a little science kit that had to deal with circuitry, and
yeah, my parents got tired of me taking things apart in the house. Anything from, you know, the TV to the microwave to, you know, the VCR, and so they ended up getting me the circuitry, like, science kit, so that I would stop taking things apart. It didn't stop me from taking things apart.
I don't think it would. I think if anything, it would make you more interested, and then try to find other things to build. But so I guess from here we're gonna go into, let's kick right off into Logic because, well, yeah, let's kick right off into Logic because you specialize in a part of dreams that is just lost on me. It doesn't matter how many tutorials I watch. It doesn't matter how many people try to help me. Like, I had 3 people last a week and a half ago. 3 of them create tutorials to try to help me figure out how to do one thing. I completed all tutorials and it didn't work for me, which means which means I messed it up. Like, it is completely me. Like, I'm sitting there like, yeah, everything should work. Let's go. None of it worked. So even with help, I'm Logic is lost on me. So it seems you were bred for it. It seems like you've just always, even before Little Big Planet 2 or dealing with MM's Logic, that was just something you've always been into, I'm guessing. Like, you know.
Yeah.
It's
something that I've always kind of liked, you know, messing around with, and a lot of it's just trial and error.
I'm starting to believe it's not trial and error.
Yeah, I don't believe that for a second.
No, but like I really, because I think I have cornered down what my problem is with Logic. It's that I don't know what I don't know, and therefore I don't necessarily have a starting point. Like, it'll make sense when someone's going through it, but to be honest, like, even the nodes and what some of them do, like, it's just like, I have no idea why that's there. And I can understand what it does and why it's there, but it still doesn't make sense to me as to how to set it up to do that thing. So I guess what I'm trying to get at here because Lord knows it's just logic. I'm gonna have to hire people to do it for me. What has been what has been the most difficult logic for you to do in dreams?
Probably trying to prevent infinite loop problems. And primarily with I think the hardest thing was creating the logic that allowed me to do the music visualizer. I did it once for the Timia's music jams that he does all the time.
Yeah.
I did one of them. It was a circular a thing, but what I ended up having to do was make RAM and just have a bunch of pieces of RAM in a row set on timers to pass the information, or just, how strong the signal was from the music along to the next.
But did you say you made RAM?
Yes.
Like, can you go a bit into that? Like, how do you make RAM in dreams?
Making RAM in dreams is easier than making RAM in real life.
Okay.
Basically, RAM is just, making a bit of logic that holds logic. In essence, a variable is or can be used as RAM, but because variables, there's a limit to how many you can use. It's essentially two nodes, with one node being the receiving node that takes the information in. The second node is the one that actually holds the information. And there's this brief moment where both nodes are linked together. So the first node sends information into the second node, which rewrites any information that's in there. Because unlike in, say, in Little Big Planet, if you sent, a number into a system like this, it would keep adding it up and up. And in dreams, it resets it every single time it gets a different signal. It switches to that signal, and then it shuts off the first node, and you just have that second node looping into itself endlessly. So you're just creating this tiny little infinite loop that essentially acts as RAM.
Okay.
But a lot of the things that I've run into that became difficult to solve was just because I was used to using Little Big Planet's logic for so long. Dreams logic is actually different in certain ways. So while in Little Big Planet, every time a signal has to go through some kind of transference via either, a calculator, or it has to go through a selector or something else, it takes another frame. So you can have, this long string of nodes, and it would actually pass on from one to the other every frame, and you can make an animation from that. In dreams, it does all of them in one frame. It does it instantly. So dreams is so efficient at its logic that I have to make stuff to slow stuff down, and that's why I had to essentially make this little I like to just call it RAM to hold that information for that split moment.
So do you, in your process of doing doing logic, do you just think about it for a really long time and then throw it down, or do you take out pen and paper and literally draw out how you plan to accomplish this task, this piece of logic for whatever?
I just think about it for a really long time. I mean, like I said, a lot of it is trial and error. You learn how the logic works via trial and error, and then you know how every single piece of logic works and reacts to other bits of logic, and then I'll just sit there and imagine it in my head for, a couple hours to a few days, figure out all the little kinks, and then make it.
This is why I say I'm just not wired for it, because that's how I do. That's how I do what I do, but it doesn't work the same for logic for me. Like it's like a if I'm working on a story or writing a script, like I've thought about tons of stories for years, and when it comes time to like finally write them down and complete them, then it's like, okay, go. So I get the whole thinking about it and then putting it down, but I find it interesting that it could be the same for it could be the same to two different ends.
I think the difference is that when it comes to logic, you have to hold a lot of things in your head all at once. Whereas when it comes to storytelling, you might not have to hold that much information in your head at a time. And the reason I say that is I actually did that before. I've been wanting to write a book for, a really long time. And I had a story that I wanted to write that I'm just too lazy to write. I mean, I got to chapter 6 and then I got lazy.
I mean, it happens. It happens.
I mean, I think you have to have the right mindset to get your head around logic, because in its absolute simplicity, it's computational thinking. You've got to think like a computer to be able to figure out how it's all going to work. And Zodira is a fantastic example of someone that is just born to do that. From a young age, she started taking things apart, wanting to learn circuitry, how things work. If you have that type of curiosity, then I think logic will come quite easy to you. If you're someone like me that can't seem to make the smear option work in Dreams, let alone try and make a microchip with some technical logic in it, it's not going to happen.
I mean, yeah, that's basically what I was getting at. Like, I just don't think I don't just like logic is whatever for me. It's just I'm not wired. I'm not wired that way. And I don't know. At the end of the day, it's good to have a friend like Zodira.
Yeah.
So be like, look, Zozo. I need you to come. I need you to come over here and take a look at this because I can't do it. But yeah. So I had asked you a question because I had completely misremembered your history, but I had asked you about Steven Universe. Because when you first told me the story, for some reason, and maybe this is why it got messed up in my head, because in Steven Universe, there's a character named Connie, and you came off as Connie to me. And so I think I just started putting things you said to the people in that character's life. So I think that's how I got to the confusion of who did what within your family, that I felt tied really deeply into like just how intense what you're good at, like how it factors in. So I guess I'll let you answer the question of like, do you watch Steven Universe and what character do you identify with?
Well, anybody who was paying close enough attention when we got rudely interrupted by the phone call would have noticed that the ringtone on my phone was Steven Universe's ringtone for Connie.
Yep.
And an episode.
Yep.
Really sad episode. Yeah, I've watched Steven Universe, though I probably think I would probably fit more with Pearl, just because I've got OCD, I freak out, I'm paranoid all the time, and then on top of that being able to do some smarty stuff, but also being really awkward in social situations. So that's why I was always thinking about her.
Interesting. I didn't see that. I didn't see that coming. But now that you break it down, I mean, from what I know of you, yeah. I've seen you go, well, not go off, but I've seen you look at some logic and just be like, that needs to be organized. Like, just randomly, there'll be a comment from you and it'll just be like, that makes me want to fix
Like
that.
label your keyframes.
Never.
Label
Never.
all of your keyframes.
Never. So, I guess with that, I mean, is there something you wanted to go into? Because I mean, I was gonna talk more so about like where you, like your game ideas, like where you're going in, just yourself in dreams, and you know how that's factoring into like, are you branching out now into not just games but into character creation, landscape, you know, or is it just you find you don't have the time outside of logic?
Uh, most of my time in dreams currently uh, is pretty much logic and create and some creation. The game that I'm working on right now, the ball in a cup game, is kind of like my first true time going in and trying to put together an entire game, mostly on my own. Uh, Granted, before that, I was working on the horror game, but that kind of got held back because I needed help from other people. And those people were busy with their own projects. They couldn't get to me. So it just kind of sat there. And while I do plan to go um, back to that, I decided to kind of set the horror to the side, especially since it was a larger project because of just how much time it would take to make.
Yeah.
And I'd basically been trying to make it since early access. I decided to switch to something random, which was the ball in a cup idea.
Hmm.
So,
Go ahead.
though I have had a lot of other game ideas, and some of them I have plans for.
Yeah, like what?
Uh, well, hold on. I can bring up this document I just brought up. So let's see. There's Project M. I name everything just Project something. So Project M is my puzzle game uh, that I've actually put a little bit of work into. Project ACC, which is the city building game. Project H, which is the horror game. Project R, which is a futuristic space racing game. Project 8B, which is a top down side scrolling Zelda like game. Project BCG, which is just a stupid, funny cowboy game.
Hold up. Hold up. Hold up. Hold up. Hold up.
Man, I'm
Does
not
this
third of the way through.
does this does this not sound like the way a computer would like process something? Like,
Okay. The reason
Project
the reason,
A3B1B1002.
Well, I mean, the Project 8B is clearly 8-bit. That's what you was going for, right?
right. A lot of them do have something, just project and then whatever related to the game type it is. But I did a lot of this because I wanted to be able to talk about what I was making without revealing like the name or the story or anything like that. Um, you know, but like for instance, Project L, it had in this one it says taking inspiration from Mega Man Legends. This is a platformer puzzle adventure. Gimmick is to replicate PlayStation 1 graphics with a mixture of jagged edges, painted out pixel art, and the pixelation filter, which I'm not going to use the pixelation filter because I hate the pixelation filter. But like,
so go ahead.
and then I have other documents which goes further into detail, because if I was to share the document for the city builder, it's got everything laid out from how many buildings, what the number is, where it sits in the logic, how things interact with each other. I just have to sit down and actually make the buildings and build logic, and it would essentially be done.
So, would you make the buildings, or would you just go to the Dreamiverse for them? Like, and this is a recurring question that I'm asking a bunch of different people to get different viewpoints on using Dreamiverse assets. Like, is it specifically like for you? Is it like I want to do every piece of this thing, or
No, as much as I would love to do every single piece, I do go to the Dreamiverse for certain assets. I mean, if you look at the Ball in a Cup game, I shared a video on Twitter showing off, just some menu stuff in it, but it's littered with stuff from the Dreamiverse. But the one thing I like to do that isn't Dreamiverse is primary structures, the buildings and the ground, things like that. It's the items to populate the area outside of that. So I made the walls, the molding, the door, the windows, all of that for that room. And then I also went and did all of the furniture except for the bed.
Okay. Now, I'm trying to decide because I kind of want to propose just a random thing and be like, how would you approach trying to do that in Logic? And but is that gonna be too on the spot for you, like to try to make you fire on all cylinders, like just on a
Not
whim?
really. I mean, you could go ahead and do it.
Okay. So let's say in a comic book or graphic art style used for graphic novels, you have the use of heavy black lines that show up around a character or around a features and details. Is there a way using Logic to achieve that outline style on all objects without having to go in and manually paint them yourself?
You mean to have like shell shading?
Kind of, but no. Like, I'm not necessarily talking about shading, just the thick black line or a varying black line around the edges, I guess.
Technically, yes, you could.
But
Yeah, that's what I'm waiting for.
But you're looking at a ton of logic for the effect. Because
and that it's like, it's gonna mess with the thermo and stuff.
So, for instance, you want to have this outline around the character. You would need to have, for instance, like a laser coming off from the side that would hit the character, and then you could have the laser connected to a keyframe that keyframes the distance of your individual, splotch of paint or whatever that's supposed to be a part of that edge. Something, like 100, 200 of these later, you'll have your line outlining the person. And if you're smart enough with it, you could also have that all angled towards the camera so that as you rotate the camera around the person, they generally touch the side of the character and give him, or her, their outline. But it's also a crap ton of logic and would be a bit much for your gameplay, I think, for that method. I know that there's a much better method, which is actually using a kind of shading, which I don't understand how it works, but someone found out how, which is to actually have shell shading for a character by reversing the color of everything and messing with the lighting and shadows within Dreams. Somehow it magically becomes a shell shaded game. But yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen people do certain things where I'm just like, they almost hit it, And then I've like, you go on YouTube and you see people that are like cell shading in dreams, and I'm not necessarily happy with what they pull off. And so but like I said, this for me was personally just like the idea of making it look like a comic book by achieving those thick black lines. But as Spicy said, just draw the line. just draw the line, Mighty.
Especially if it's going to be a still image, and you might as well draw it. It saves so much space.
Yeah, I don't want it to be though. I don't want it. I wanted to do exactly what I wanted to do. So anyway, that's definitely interesting, because as you were going through that, I was like, I don't know who's seen that movie 40-Year-Old Virgin, but that one part where he's like, you're using a lot of big words and I don't understand what they mean, so I'm gonna take them as disrespect. Like that's kind of, it's just like, I feel like she's trying to tell me don't. I feel like she's ultimately trying to get around to let's reel it in a bit.
Yeah,
but
why would you do that?
I just feel like there is a thing that I'm searching for, like a look, not the look that would make it so I'm finally happy with anything I've done, but just a look that I feel like if I could achieve it, I'd be extremely happy. Like it would be something that I could use in multiple projects that would give its own style. But I mean, the game doesn't lend itself to that for me, as far as in a way I understand. It can definitely, I truly believe dreams can do anything. But it's whether or not I know
if you're looking for, say, it's still going to be a still image, but it's a character and they have, taking a 3D space and they're just not going to move, you could still use the system that I mentioned and just delete it all afterwards.
See, thing is I want it to consistently be on. Like I do want it to be in motion.
So are you looking for sort of like that Borderlands kind of look? Is that what you'd want to go for?
No. I mean, yes, but no. Just no, because I'm just not on the Borderlands train with everybody. But yes, because it's the closest thing I could think of. But it's just the lines, not the cell shading. Afro Man says he would do it with the use of effects and lighting, and that's what I've been experimenting with currently, is trying to pull it off with effects and lighting.
Right.
But yeah, I just wanted to, because like I said, it's with the idea of logic. Like it's something I want to be good at, but I also need to do a lot of studying before I get to the point where I could even truly attempt logic. Like right now, I'm just trying to do like Zodira says and just fail upward. But I'm literally failing in. I'm literally failing in place. So the only thing I think is that just go back, just go back. Go through every single gadget, be like, this does this. Then read the definitions, if you will. And then I think I can go to that part where it's like, okay, now I know what this is supposed to do. I'll still have to figure out how to make it work for what I want, but at least now I know what I need to try to pull off this thing. And I think that's the real hump for people with logic. It's literally just not knowing what it does, like what anything does. And yeah, but maybe I'm just talking out of my butt because I don't know anything. Maybe it's possible. But yeah,
I mean, that's the thing with logic though, isn't it? I mean, there's so many different parts to the logic system that you have to learn, and then you have to not only learn what each of them do, but how they all interact with each other and how you connect them together to make something work the way you want it to. I would say logic is definitely pretty much the hardest thing to learn in dreams. I think learning how to actually sculpt or to animate is going to be a lot easier to get your head around than figuring out all the logic, unless you're that way inclined.
Not for me.
Really?
I'm still learning how to make stuff look nice.
Yeah, but you've got the whole logic scene like down though, so there's that.
Okay, so I guess let's get back to your list. But I mean, what I guess pick if you had to pick just a few of them, like give us the full breakdown on like your top choices of what you would work on after everything you're working on now.
Well, I know the first thing I'm going to work on after the Ball in the Cup game is the puzzle game, which I've kind of messed around with it, and it's how it looks has morphed over time. But more or less, it kind of started as a project to not be perfect with. So I tend to be a bit of a perfectionist to a fault. So I'll look at something and it looks off, or I'll pay too much close attention to something. But one thing I found was the less time you actually spend on something in dreams, sometimes the better it will look, because the more effort you put into something, the more effort you have to put into literally everything. So the puzzle game is more or less just kind of this project of make an environment, make things with as few edits as possible, not sit there and think about it too much, make the environment, and then sit down and kind of mess with some logic. But it's going to take a lot of inspiration from things like the Myst series, for instance.
Okay.
So a lot of mechanical puzzles. It's not going to be like Locke, where you have to look really hard and see what's what. With this, it's more or less you'll see, you know, a bunch of levers in front of you. You pull levers, see what happens. Pull the next one, see what happens, and see how the both interact. And then you figure out and you solve the puzzle. Maybe there's a journal somewhere that mentions a key code, junk like that, you know.
Yeah. Okay. Well, Jamie, you take this one over.
So I'd like to go into the Ball and the Cup, because that game has really like evolved from something very simple into this now like complicated piece of art that you've made. You know, it's just a simple Ball in the Cup game. Now you've got this massive room, you've got an amazing menu system that I absolutely love. It's like this old school TV, and you've got all these options on there. I mean, what made you think to sort of take the simple idea of Ball in the Cup and really expand it to the way that you have?
It just kind of happened over time. Like initially I was working on, you know, just figuring out how to make a working string. Then while, you know, trying to solve that, I made a quick ball in a cup, played with it in edit mode one day on stream. Somebody mentioned that would be a great idea for a game. And I kind of put it on the back burner. I didn't really think about it all that much. And then, like a couple weeks later, that person poked me and said, "So you gonna make that into a game, or what's happening?" And I was like, you know what? I should actually turn that into a game. So I started messing with it. I made a simple way to control it using, you know, your regular controller. I threw it at Kelby Owens, asked him for his input. He gave me some tips and tricks, and then there was a moment while watching Mr. Casey Jones's as he was streaming, and he did his grandpa voice, and I was just like, you know what, that actually would be an interesting idea. So I asked him if he could do that, talk about balls and cups for however long, and he sent in some great voice work, and that's when it kind of went from there. So I knew I needed a floor, because one of the gripes Keld had was simply the fact that you couldn't see a shadow. You couldn't really tell where the ball was in relation to the cup. And so I was like, okay, well, I can make a room. I'll have it, facing towards the door. The door will just, you'll hear a knock on the door. Your grandpa will start talking about your ball in a cup for a few moments. And that'd be it. But then I kind of thought, okay, well, what if there was other voices? Stuff like that. So I asked Held. He supplied some voices. There were going to be some voices for a brother, though I think that's going to be dropped. And then I was going to voice the mother. And setting up the room the way that it's set up wasn't the original idea, but I wanted to go do VR support for it.
Mm-hmm.
Especially since now I'm in a room where I can actually do VR. So that meant that I had to populate the room with stuff, and I was thinking about the menu system, and originally it was just going to be in the room, just circling around like it does regularly, and you would be messing with the menu from there. But then I thought it would be cool if, I made a gaming console and had it to where like it would open and close, and it would, when it closed and turned on, the TV would turn on. You'd have your menu system and you choose all your different stuff. And then I got into talking to Tom, Natanya from Media Molecule about like the rules about having PlayStation related content within Dreams. And they were like, you shouldn't, even though Dreams is a Sony product on PlayStation 4, they advised against me making a PlayStation 1. So I made a totally not a PlayStation 1 gaming console to be my retro old school console. So it's shaped differently, buttons in different places, different ports, things like that. And that bloomed into, well, I need games. That kind of ended up why I ended up with like asking different people to just supply stuff. Hey, posters, toys, dolls, action figures, anything. This, to populate this room. So that's why we ended up with all the different stuff in the room. And I know that the idea for having Pig Detective 2 as a game for this console that sits next to it was because one of the lines Kel did was talking about how the kid should play a real game like Pig Detective 2.
Okay.
There's this weird back and forth where Grandpa is talking about how great playing with a ball in a cup is, and Kel's character is constantly trying to convince the player to just stop playing this or do something else.
I love it.
So what are what, if you don't mind me jumping in, what are the external forces on the getting the ball in the cup? Because when I first think of the game, like, because I've only seen that main page and little things that have been posted, like static images. But when I think of the game, I think of that is the old phone game where you're like flicking a piece of paper into like a trash can. And you have like air and all that stuff. Like, are there external forces like that, or is the cup like just placed randomly somewhere and you're trying to get it into it?
No. There's no external forces or anything like that because the game's already hard enough as is. So it's just you control the cup.
Oh.
You have control of the cup. That's what you're controlling is the cup. Whether it's with your regular controller, the DS4, or with a Move controller in VR or out of VR, the cup is your controller. But there's the ball, and the ball is attached to the cup via string, and you're trying to get the ball, which is dangling from the bottom of the cup, into the top of it. So you're having to move the cup and fling the cup in such a way that it flings the ball into the air, and then you catch it in the cup. And then you have to keep it in the cup for a certain amount of time for the point to register.
And with it, when you're playing it in non-VR mode, is this using like the motion sensor in the DualShock 4, or is it with analogs?
It's with both. It's kind of awkward when playing with the regular controller, and it's kind of why I needed to have like different scoreboards for different control methods, which also meant I had to make a bit of logic that basically knows what control method you're using. And then essentially disables your ability to score any points if you change your control method once the game has started. So if you start with your regular, controller, and then switch to VR in a move controller, which is easier to play the game with, and then scored a bunch of points, it's not actually going to post to anything, because it's going to be like, yeah, you don't get to have points because you changed things in the middle of your game.
Yeah.
But essentially, you move it like you would move your imp, and that's what'll end up controlling it. And then for forward and backwards movement, so closer to the screen, further from the screen, is your R2 and L2 buttons.
So basically, the external force is your mental state.
Pretty much.
Good.
And how much you're willing to put up with.
Because I mean, I'm thinking of this in like a logic thing. Like I said, I mean, it doesn't work. No firing up here. But like, were you trying to like do something that was going to cause you to go crazy, like logic wise? Because it sounds
no. I mean,
no,
it's
just
actually
simple.
pretty simple logic wise for me.
Oh!
Zodira.
Excuse me.
There's
This is
very
just
little
stupid
logic.
simple.
Okay, well,
The actual gameplay is very little logic.
well, Liam asked, "Is the gravity on the ball faked, or are you using just the physics of dreams?"
I'm using the physics of dreams, which actually has created some problems with making everything work just right. So I'm having to decide between either somehow getting the physics to work just right when everything has been shrunk down to proper size to fit into that normal sized room, or increase the size of the room up to like a big size and then have the ball in the cup just be really big. But I do have to mess with a lot of stuff to kind of dial everything in, from how heavy the various parts are, so that they react like you would expect them to react. And they don't do that just on their own with Dreams physics. They're close, but I have to mess with some of the values.
Okay. Well, sorry for interrupting you, Jamie. I
No.
Yeah. Go ahead.
No, that was pretty much it. I just wanted to talk about Ball in the Cup because it fascinates me that something so simple is just like, I really want to play that. Like, it's just something so stupidly simple. It's like, yeah, I really, really want to have a go at that. I like the simple idea of it.
I think what's really weird about it is the fact that all those events, those vocal events that happen with, Grandpa Kel, Uncle Kel, all these different characters and stuff and events, from, Uncle Kel saying, like, hey, I'll trade you your gaming console for a hoop and stick, since you like, Ball in a Cup so much. And I was just going to have it to her like, well, the next time they load the game up, there's going to be no console on the shelf. There's going to be a hoop and a stick in the corner of the room. Just dumb stuff. And there's even a secret game mode now where you play against the monster under the bed. That's apparently a Ball in the Cup master. But all of this stuff, no one's going to see all of it. And I know it because no one's going to play it enough to see all of it. Because it's
I think you'd be surprised.
There'll probably be something like 50 to 60 different events that can happen
Wow.
Whether it's a difference with the environment, such as all of a sudden it's raining outside, or it's nighttime, maybe it's the middle of the day, maybe it's snowing. It's one of the parents wants to say something, grandpa wants to say something, uncle, brother, sister, whatever these random events. There'll probably be a bunch of them, but they're coded to happen once and not happen again until everything else has happened.
Interesting.
So
what would be quite good is if you added an in-game trophy system so that people could check, like, it ticks off when someone's done that, and like, you can view the trophies and people can see like, oh, there's another 30 trophies to get here, so like, I'm gonna have to keep playing to find out what all these other things are. That might be something that'd be worth adding.
But it's bloated enough as it is. So it'll just probably be some sort of indication that it started over again or whatever, and and instead of putting in a bunch of randomization logic, I'm just gonna have it to where like each time you start the game, it's predestined to do a new set of vocals or an event. So everybody's third game is going to be the same event, essentially. While that could be kind of boring, unless somebody's going over and watching someone else play it, I don't think anyone's going to care. The only people who are going to probably get to the end are those like Mick Yeager trying to get the top score or something.
I was about to say the high score wars.
Yeah. Well, I'm definitely intrigued about the monster under the bed. I wanna battle against him and see what that's like.
Well, it's all voiced and everything. That's done. The voices are done.
Well, next time you need voices, come to me. I want to do something. But how do you feel? Because we approached this, I think it was the very first roundtable that we did, where I had asked what people who people believe are the most underrated creators in dreams. By creators, I mean people who do everything from everything that we all know people do in dreams. Like, do you feel like as a logic person, because I know we had talked many times about you being on the show, and you were like, it might be hard to talk about some of these things because I've been in the background of so many projects, but like not something I can show. Like, do you feel like people who the logic gods of dreams, I don't know. I don't want to say get as much respect because everybody's respected in the world of dreams. But do you find it harder to show off your work necessarily just because of being like the piece that no one sees, but the glue that holds everything together?
Sorta. I mean, there are, either jams run by Media Molecule, which is just the straight up, dreams jam, weekly jam or whatever, or another player's doing a jam, something like that. They're all for things not logic related. It's for visuals or music or, sculpt something or take a bunch of these sculpts, put them together, see what you get. Only dreams are, of course, ever really shown off. When it comes to like even like object surfing and stuff like that, most of it is completed objects and stuff. It's not common, or I've not seen it, where like, no one's getting an image, like getting, this really complicated, microchip picked or brought up into a jam as who can make the better whatever it is logic thing. So that does it does kind of suck, but it's also you can't really show it, and it's not something a lot of people get excited about. So while, it would excite people like me, Acer, Tap,
Yeah.
Saku, all these other people who, were all into logic to some extent, the majority of the Dreams community isn't going to get excited at, a bunch of people trying to figure out one way, like, 5 different ways to do one thing, which actually is kind of what happens. If you were to stick me and all those people I just mentioned into a room and said, okay, we need this effect, make it happen, we'd probably all come up with a completely different method.
I've seen it happen in comment sections between like you, Tap, and Acer. Like, yeah, it's like that's the part that's so interesting to me about logic, is just that it is an art form. Like, everybody has their way to use the language to do the exact same thing, but in different ways. People have their favorite gadget. So I guess that's my next question. What's your favorite gadget?
My favorite gadget, I would probably have to say, because I answered this once before, but I had to think about it more. The signal manipulator would probably have to be my favorite, especially since I know how to mess with the signal manipulator to an extreme degree now, thanks to keyframes. So.
Well, just to keep up with chat here, Wargarble said, I have the utmost respect for you logic makers. It's something I'm so behind in. You inspire me, Zodira. So, there you go.
Oh, thank you.
Oh, there you. That was amazing. No, don't apologize at all. That was hilarious and awesome. It was so genuine. But but yeah, I mean, I always think about that because, in every art form, everything displayed as a medium, there's always like the unsung heroes. And so, like, in film, it's usually the writer, and there's plenty of musical jokes about how the bassist doesn't do anything. like you can't even hear him, but adorable. And that was that little snort. Anyway, but yeah, so like I always wonder that because yeah, it would seem to me that like you said, there's kind of like a challenge for everything, but there is no like, hey, who can make this brain out of logic? And it's just like actually people having I don't even know what you would call it. I'm trying to think of a way to turn logic into a showdown, a lowdown. Anyway, go ahead.
I may actually have a way eventually, just because of one of my other really weird esoteric projects of mine, which is to make essentially an 8-bit computer in Dreams.
Wow.
Specifically to make 8-bit music.
So you're using logic to make an 8-bit computer that will then make 8-bit music.
Yeah. Just because I really like 8-bit music.
She says that with such confidence. Like, well, yeah, obviously. Like, what else would I be doing with my logic time?
Well, I mean, y'all saw the whole string of me blabbering about in the Lucid Nebula Discord.
Yes, I did.
In relation to how to do that's essentially the same thing. All it is loading a bit of data and putting it to use. I just have to figure out how I want to make Dreams read 8 bits of data to relay what kind of, note or sound that's supposed to produce.
I'm not going to lie. I read that whole thing that you put in there, and I was just like, where did this come from? Like, I have no... like, not only did I not understand what was happening with the words I was seeing, but I was just like, who did this to us? Like who put all of this in here? Like I don't know who asked the question or whatever, but yeah, this happened on Discord, but I was just that's why I didn't respond, because I felt like even if I like got some part of it, it would be so disingenuous for me to be like, yeah, man.
Well,
cool.
I also read it, like, because I had 100 plus notifications for that Discord channel.
I'm sorry.
Like, no, and I was like, no, that's definitely Zodira, because when Zodira gets on a rant about logic, she does it sentence by sentence. So she'll write a sentence and she'll post it. She'll write another sentence, she'll post it. I'm like, that's Zodira. She's banging on about logic. So I looked at it, I read it all, and the only way I can describe what I read was, imagine reading the ingredients to some medication. So you read all of that, and you're like, okay, I just read a bunch of stuff that I do not understand, but I read it. That is the only way I can interpret what you wrote on that Discord server. It's just
oh no, it's amazing.
Yeah,
but...
it's just like, oh, like she's gonna build a brain or something. Like she's gonna enter the Matrix and like, you know, create the fourth dimension using dreams. This is gonna be revolutionary. I'm here for it. I'm just gonna watch in the distance.
Meanwhile, I'm off to the side like she's gonna do something. I don't know what, because I don't know what any of that means, but she's gonna do something, and it's gonna be great. Yes. So yeah, I think everybody thinks I'm hamming it up when I say that I just don't get it, and it's like there's no way he could be that bad. Like ask a certain Tap. because they tried to help me on something recently.
Is this still for the shrinking thing? Is it still for that problem?
Yes.
Oh my god!
But the thing is, I'm too stubborn to give up. So like that's the thing. I'm going to get it, but it's just like they're like, hey, yeah, let me do this to help. And I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna stay over here. I'm gonna stay over here. I'm gonna try to do it myself. And Acer was even like, he was like, I'll go in and fix it for you. I'm like, I'm not quite. That's what's gonna happen. One of them is gonna have to go into the file and do it for me eventually. But I really want to try to do it myself. And I think it comes off as me being like, you know, I'm interested, but he's not really interested because he won't let us just come in and do it. So like, you know, hey, what were you about to say, James? I know you got something to say.
Yeah, but what surprises me is Tap actually made you a video, like showing you how it's done, right?
3 people made videos.
I think I saw Tap's video on Twitter for that. I was wondering what that came from.
And are these videos literally step-by-step instructions of how to do what you want to do?
Yes, but let me explain. Because no,
how
because that's
wrong.
No, I don't know. But this is the thing. I think there is something extremely basic that I don't know, that they know. That when they're doing the tutorial, because for instance, have you ever watched someone who's played guitar for 30 years try to teach someone how to do something? Have you ever watched a video tutorial?
I can relate to piano, but yeah.
Okay, yeah. Okay. See, they just like all you have to do is, and it's like,
yeah.
Oh, cool. Yeah, I'll get right on that. You know, and so what I think it is they are going step by step, showing me how to do this thing, but there's some little detail that either they know or that I don't know that they do that I'm missing. Like, and I think I nailed it down in Tap's video, but I'm still trying to, like I said, I'm working slowly. My brain doesn't work with this stuff. It works with other things like deciphering people and the human mind and storytelling. And, you know, that's my thing. Philosophy, blah, like that's all my stuff. But with logic, I watch the videos, I do what they say to do, and it doesn't work. And I'm like, there's something I'm messing up. Like, don't get this twisted, anybody that's listening to this. Like, it's not them. It's me.
No, it's definitely you.
It's me.
Have you... I have to ask, do you know about your node inputs?
Yeah, I think.
So every single bit of logic has the tiny input node, which is what you're connecting to with the wire. Every connection has this tiny little node into whatever gadget you're using and out of
Yeah.
it. You can change how those inputs function if you hover over them.
Yeah.
I'm just making sure you know about that, because that threw me off for like a couple months in the beginning until I realized how I was screwing up with those.
But yeah, like I said, it's just that, and honestly, I don't even think the problem lies in logic. I think it lies in how I built the characters. Like my current theory. Now this is completely just all out of my butt, but like that laugh, and it's. I think what it is I think there's something off about either the grab point or the center point of how I built them, or there's something with like a directional how would you say it? Like something having to do with the axes that like when you're combining all of them into the same model and making them disappear and appear. And Payoff Wizard, what's going on? And yeah, so I feel like there's something. The only thing I can think of is, like I said, it's something I'm doing, or it's something that I don't know. And that's what's making this hard for me. But at the end of the day, it could just be that I need to stay in my lane. That might just be.
No,
See,
don't stay in your lane.
You say that, but it would be simpler if I was just like, hey, my guy, just you know that thing you made a tutorial for? Yeah, just go ahead and do that with these three characters. You do that. And it's like, I feel like that would be just quicker for everybody. It would be everyone involved would just do it. But I'm too stubborn for that. Like Pixel Gorilla told me to call it perseverance. But he says like that's a real trait, a good trait to have. But I still like to call it stubborn, because it really is just like, I'm gonna beat my head into this, no matter how much harm it does to me, until I get it right. So anyway, I'm trying to read chat because people are I think once again maybe trying to help me. But there is
no point.
Wow. God, it hurts more when he says it.
Dude.
There's when he says it, I can feel like the imperialism on his voice. Like, it hurts just a little bit more. I'm not gonna lie. Let's see. At from Man for Peace. If you do something for years, you don't think about it anymore. It feels natural, like breathing. So when you want to explain it to another person, you will miss those details you don't think about anymore. Yeah, that's exactly what I'm saying. Like, I feel like there's something that I don't know, and they're just so familiar with it that it just doesn't. They're just like, yeah, you do this and this and this, and there you go.
Do you think you would benefit from redoing the basic logic tutorials on Dreams? Now that you have some experience with logic and you know some of it and what some of it does, do you think that going back to do the basics might help you to discover what that thing is that you're missing?
I did them.
Oh, you've done them again. Okay. See?
Do you think you need a refresher? I am refreshed. But yeah, it's just like Yaffer said, it's people process info differently, and I just think there is going to be that point where it clicks with me, but it's not going to be as easy as everything else. Like, you know, because I'm more art based and character artist and all this other stuff, like in the past, there really wasn't a, hey, you need to do this to use shapes. It was just like, oh, well, I don't need that tutorial. Let me go start building things. Now I get better with it as, you know, the longer I do it, but I didn't need help there. You know, when they're like, hey, build this, it's like, it may not look good, but I'm like, okay, build it. But when they were like, "Hey, do logic," I'm like, "Word? I'm gonna need you to start at kindergarten." Like I need you to start so far back. But yeah, I don't know. I feel like it would be interesting if people could do logic tutorials. Like if people built logic tutorials within Dreams, but actually in the way that Dreams did them. So it's like instead of having the YouTube videos, like you would have the people that would like they just built it in Dreams. I feel like they might have a like seeing it in that format where you're in it as opposed to watching it. Like, oh god, following a tutorial when you're watching it is hard when you're dealing with certain things.
That might become a thing when multiplayer comes out, though. You know, I reckon Tap is going to be all over that, doing like live multiplayer sessions with logic and stuff, and I think that will really help out a lot of people. Like, let's just say you can have 10 people in a dream at a given time. You'd probably do like lessons at certain times, and people book in a slot, and then you sat there doing it with him like you would like in college, when you're learning something and the teacher is there showing you physically how it's done. I think someone like you would benefit from someone showing you how it's done and then physically doing it with you. It would imprint on your mind more because you seem like a person of doing something rather than being shown how to do it.
Yeah, like doing it. That's how I learn is by doing it. But I thought I would be able to do it and like close enough with a visual tutorial where it wouldn't be an issue. But I see I'm just wrong. But guys, I'll never give up. I'll never give up. I'll be old and gray and less of my body will work, and I'll still be sitting here trying to get these 3 characters, and I will not give up. I will never give up. Oh God. Yeah, let's see. Or you get so obsessed with stuff you can do until you only think about it and don't make anything because you already have it working in your mind. Yeah. So that's just the way it is. So, I'm sorry, guys. If you hear random grunts of pain, it's because once again my body is trying to reject my soul, and it's fine. Like
it's okay. I just pretend I'm watching Tool Time.
See, I was trying to go to sleep last night, and all of a sudden my wrist was like, I don't want to be here anymore, and I was like, okay, well, you make a good point, and so yeah, there was no sleep, but Jamie knows that's a common thing on Fridays. I just have I have like a funk that hits me every Friday, and it doesn't matter if I feel happy about it or anything. Yeah, I'm complaining like all the way up until the podcast, and then I'm like, all right, let's do it. Mighty Vicious massage oils, man. If I think I might disintegrate if somebody tried to touch all the things that ache in my body.
Be like, where does it hurt?
Yes. Basically. I mean, at some point, I'm gonna have to get me basically an avatar like Zodira has, so that like just so I can like be in bed, like just not moving, and just be like, guys, I'm here. I did it.
I'm here in virtual form.
Yes, in virtual form. This virtual body helps me more than my own. It's really like surrogates, only I didn't get the cool part of actually hooking up to a cooler body. I just stayed trapped in the sucky one. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. Neither here nor there, my guys. So it's applied with hearty slaps. So anyway, yeah, there's a lot going on. So Zodira, let me ask you a really in-depth question here, just overall.
Okay, I'll give you an in-depth answer.
Okay.
I really don't doubt it.
How would you? Lol. How would you? Will you eventually, as we were talking about things you want to try to do, and you're talking about building a computer within Dreams, are you going to try to create the AI singularity within Dreams?
When the PlayStation 8 comes out. I will probably try to make a singularity in dreams.
But you
No,
have
but that
everything you
actually,
need. You have
that
everything
actually
you
does
need
bring
now.
up a serious question. Is AI possible within dreams? Because I mean, it has the core logic
Yes.
of anything else. So, you know, but like, can you, like, when I say AI, I mean something quite cool, not just like predictive text. I mean, can you create like a Siri in dreams or an Alexa to a certain
Well,
degree, obviously?
well, Siri and Alexa, you kind of have to decide between uh, dumb intelligence and good intelligence. But we're still in dumb intelligence. Basically, all any AI is for any computer, no matter what program it is, whether it's Siri or it's, that character in Modern Warfare that can't seem to jump over the fence. Uh, it's all just a series of inputs and outputs. So the whatever it is, it takes in information that it's given and decides what to do with it. And if it's given the same exact information, it's pretty much going to do the same exact thing, unless there's a randomization, thing in there. Which even still, it's just saying, okay, I've gotten the same amount of inputs. Here's a list of actions I can take, and then it just randomly choose one. It's going to be the same list of actions. If you throw that AI into, 200, events, it's the same exact event over and over again. You're going to see repeats of the same stuff over and over again. It's the same thing with Siri. But there's not really a way to, like, I think the biggest issue with making something like Siri is just the fact that we can't really make a program in dreams to recognize what somebody has said and then give an output. You can, however, recognize pitch and give that as an output. So if you wanted to sing your instruction.
So what you're saying is you're working on it.
Yeah.
Because it sounded like to me you were starting to formulate things to try to work on it, and I'm here for
sort
it.
of.
I mean, I just see Dream's logic going to a whole other level. I mean, we've already seen people do crazy stuff. There's this guy that we've all seen that is controlling a fan outside of Dreams using Dreams. Like, you know, he managed to wire that up however he's done that. There's some other guy that is making Twitch interactivity on Dreams. Like, if people type something on Twitch comments, it will do something to Dreams. So I can see the logic in Dreams going to absolute crazy places with, you know, someone like yourself that knows it in and out, working on it and doing crazy stuff with it. And I just can't wait to see what madness all you logicians come up with.
Well, a lot of that stuff is just what input or output is available. As far as like how someone's making something work within Dreams with Twitch, the one way I can imagine that is just having it to where maybe they've made a virtual controller for, for remote play or something like that on their computers, so they don't actually need to have a controller installed. So they've got that remote, that non-existent controller controlling the game. What I would like to see is what Little Big Planet 2 or 3, I can't remember which one of them had a specific gadget that specifically worked with Twitch that allowed people in chat to say certain words that you put into that device, and it would have certain outputs. So you could play a game all on your own, and then your Twitch chat could be fighting against you or something.
Wow.
But that's not in Dreams yet.
I think it will be.
I don't know.
Because there's all kinds of stuff I would love to have as some sort of gadget in Dreams.
like what?
Well, I know that in Little Big Planet 3 specifically, even though that's not a Media Molecule game, unfortunately, which might explain why it came with so many glitches, there was a gadget in it that only the devs had any access to, which basically had an output depending on whether or not you were playing on PlayStation 3 or PlayStation 4. So it could be the same exact game, the same exact levels, but they could remove or take away certain things in a level that the player was playing in, depending on what system was detected, just to boost frame rate and stuff. So imagine, all these different projects and Dreams, especially the projects that have basically said, we don't care about the PlayStation 3 anymore. We're going to make our game for Dreams via the PlayStation 5. Because there's several projects in Dreams right now where they have already left behind the PlayStation 4 players, and whether or not that negatively impacts frame rate, even massively, it's not something on their mind anymore. They're making it for the PlayStation 5. But they could, in essence, if they had that gadget, rather than having to, make two different versions of the game or whatever, or have some sort of option in the front saying, hey, choose what console you're playing on. They could literally have every scene just be like, oh, you're on a PlayStation 3, and then it says, delete like half of the trees, or, lower the resolution of the grass or these, of whatever. They could enact certain things to then make it compatible with PlayStation 3, which was sort of something what I was doing with the Twilight Shift until I was removed from that project, which was to create make a VR compatible.
But couldn't the same process be done with just a simple menu option, PS4 or PS5, and when you click on either, it will then, if you click on PS4, it would delete half of the trees. I know the gadget doing it for you would be a lot more simplistic in the sense that the player wouldn't realize what is happening, but at least until such a thing happens, surely it's possible to do it through like a menu system.
You can do all the things through a menu system. It's just whether or not, you want to do that.
Yeah.
I just think it'd be interesting to have
having
the
the gadget
tool
just do it for you is going to be so much simpler. Yeah.
Yeah. For instance, I forget if it was Acert or Tap. Would have then made a tutorial on how to use a gadget, a sound effect gadget, to be able to detect what language you were playing Dreams in, so that it could output, hey, you're playing this specific language. So you could just have it automatically switch from English to Japanese, or to Spanish, or to German, or whatever, Or you could just have a menu system that lets you choose at the start, but, it's kind of like, when it comes to a lot of us who spend so much time on logic, a lot of it is how good can you make the system? So having automated systems is always preferable over having to have the player make the choice, because sometimes the player also isn't going to make a good choice. So sometimes it's also like, okay, well, I could let them choose whatever, say, language that they want, right? But unless that's literally the first thing that pops up on screen, right? You need it to be able to kind of automatically choose that language based on what they already have. And since we can do that, you might have it to where, okay, well, it'll automatically choose one, and then maybe in the options you can go and, if the player wants, manually change it. Or you have to add in all kinds of other stuff like, okay, well, when the game first starts up, it's going to ask these questions, all right, fix your contrast level, choose your language, things like that. and then make sure that when the player comes back and plays again, these are things that are saved and they don't have to see that screen again.
Yeah.
You know?
I'm sitting here looking at Yafir, because he was saying that there's something built into Dreams where I don't know if this was a typo or if this is what it's frustum culling or whatever that is. It says anything the camera isn't looking at, it throws away and then brings it back when you look into that direction. Is that something that's built in?
Yeah, I believe culling is built into Dreams.
Huh. Okay.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Because you can clearly look, if culling wasn't in Dreams, one way you could tell that is to have a scene that's rather laggy. And if you look in a direction with less stuff, if you're still just as laggy, then there's no culling. But if it's, you're going through something and the frame rate's going up wildly, up and down, it's probably because of the culling. And it's trying to figure stuff out. Which I guess it's one reason why I kind of am glad that I have a base fat PlayStation 4 and not even PlayStation 4 Pro, because I can make sure whatever it is I'm making, especially logic-wise, is going to work for everything.
Yeah, works to the minimum spec.
Because logic runs based on frames as well. They have their own frames and stuff. So you can, if your timing's off, it can cause all kinds of problems.
Okay.
So you also don't, like, I've made logic that's lagged stuff before. So it's good to make sure that the logic isn't lagging the game.
So let me ask you, is it possible, Pixel Tuner said what he doesn't get is why in VR the moves sensors can only grab one object on one of the moves with the T button. Could you make it so that it grabs on both?
Yes, technically. I never really understood why it only allows for one, but that's kind of like the base setup that Media Molecule made for like defaults setups. But you could remake what it's doing. So you could set up, your trigger zones, tags, and everything else, and essentially remake everything that they've built into Dreams so that you can have both hands do it.
All right.
And you could probably get it to look and act exactly the same too, if you were, good at it.
Well, my brain is officially fried.
Yeah. That's about it. That's about it. Though I do believe I'm going to have a follow-up episode with you, Zodira, but probably on my other podcast, because we were talking about AI and basically the future of humanity in AI terms, as well as self upgrades. I think you would be an interesting person to have in that talk. Probably would make us sound less silly about.
I want to have the world's strongest big toe.
What would you do with the world's strongest big toe, lady? I need to know. I was about to end this, but I need to know. I'm gonna get it. I'm gonna get an answer.
Come on,
I don't know.
I'm intrigued now. Like, what are you gonna do with this?
I don't know. It just is something you can start a conversation with. Everyone's talking about. Like, oh look at this big ass arm that I've got. That's that I bought on the corner store or whatever. Like, this guy's got these super legs that they can run super fast. This guy's got a computer in his brain, and then you turn around and like, you know what I've got? I've got the world's strongest big toe.
Other than having really great balance, I'm just not seeing where that's going to take you. I'm just like,
I don't know. She could like one punch man people with that toe.
Yeah.
So not only is it a toe, but it's like a jutting toe. It punches.
Yeah,
Like it's a
got
toe
like
that it's a toe that could just like
it's a
shoot
Swiss
out
Army
at you.
toe.
A Swiss Army toe.
Oh yes, that's what we all need.
Is
It's
that
got the
is
USB
that what we all need?
We all
Yes.
need Swiss Army
Yes.
toes.
The possibilities are endless with a Swiss
Come
Army
on,
toe.
just imagine it. Okay, your toe has a can opener. You can open cans anywhere. You just have
With your toe.
open.
Have you become a
Toe
being?
open.
Have you become a being with no hands?
Yeah,
all,
but how?
all of my
like,
fingers are now toes.
Yeah, but like that's a really cool
Swiss
part.
Army
It's
toe.
like, watch me open this can with my toe. Yeah, that's a really that's an icebreaker if you've ever heard of one.
No, that's you go into every single bar in town. You make bets. Hey, I bet you $100 I can open that can with my toe. You open
I
a can,
feel
get
like-
the $100, and then you bail out of town and you go to the next one, start doing the bets again.
I feel like you're shooting too. Like I'm often told that I shoot for the stars. Okay, but I feel like if your whole upgrade path for your body is to be able to make deals in a bar, I feel like you're not. I feel like you're not shooting high enough. Okay, I just a toe hitch. What the?
I mean,
Guys,
why not?
I tell you what, that's a great
no.
way. That's a
Mm-mm.
great way to end the show. Seriously, the world's strongest toe. You heard it here first, folks.
There was one thing I wanted to mention.
Oh, feel free.
I couldn't figure out a way to segue into it. So you were talking about characters and animation and other stuff, like other things that I was trying to get into besides doing logic in the projects that I was doing.
No.
Zypher is putting together, with the help of several other people, a Zodira puppet.
Oh, cool.
So, me as a character inside of Dreams, and I'm planning to actually make weird, like 5-10 minute long episodes with it that is essentially like the Muppets. You ever seen Muppet Labs from the Muppets? They introduce a random product, something weird happens, everything goes wrong, everybody laughs. That's kind of what I'm thinking of. I don't know. But it'll be my first foray into actually animating something.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to that now.
Yeah.
I did not know that was happening, and now I am on the waiting list.
Yeah.
But yeah, it actually looks really good, and I can't wait to actually get my hands on it. It was originally to be, and still is, to be a character, I think, in his game. But because it's going to be a character in his game, I'll also get my hands on the puppet to use for my own nefarious needs. Such as, I don't know, an animation of me slipping on a banana peel. I mean, I just talked about, having the world's strongest bionic toe. It's just...
Wow. Yeah.
the junk. But yeah.
So, Yaffer said, welcome to the world of animating a hellstorm of keyframes. Oh, I'm familiar with animating. That's not a new one to me like Logic. But yeah. That
like as much as I like Logic, voice acting is like the big thing for me.
really.
Yeah, besides Logic, voice acting, because I always wanted to voice act my entire life, so Dreams gave me that outlet. So I try to voice act wherever I can, or when someone actually says, "Hey, yeah, can you voice act for me?" Except for recently, because real life problems getting in the way of having, a situation where I can easily voice act.
Yeah. I get you on that one. I just lost a project because of that. But yeah, I understand you. I understand where you're coming from on that one. But it is. Did you want to leave us with any other golden gems, the bionic toe, or upcoming projects, or putting something else on the radar people should be looking out for?
Just I still have plans for the puzzle game, the horror game, the city building game, which I'll probably end up flipping a coin. And now that I've got more stuff because of that long string of information I threw at y'all on the Discord, uh, the city game has really moved up in the ranks. So I may go back after the Ball in the Cup game and work on both the puzzle and that one and see what I can come up with.
Okay. Word.
Awesome.
And Jamie, anything you'd like to leave? Oh, yeah. We totally forgot to bring it up last week, but we are in the market. We are in the market for a new animation lead for Dino.
Yes.
So if you do animation, feel free to let us know, because we need someone like ASAP, or we're gonna have to change some dates around here. But also slowly raise his hand. Oh, well,
get in touch.
Yeah, hit us up on Discord.
Yeah, we're very eager to talk to people.
Yes.
Yeah, we're very eager to talk to people. We want to get a couple more people involved in the project. So yeah, if you're interested and you're serious about collaborating on this and want to create something amazing, then do hit us up on Twitter or join the Made in Dreams podcast Discord. Happy to talk to everybody about it.
And Ape's on fire.
Oh,
she just rated us with 15 viewers as we're shutting down. But we'll go ahead and put it back out there what we just told everybody. Thank you so much for the raid. I'll probably I'll be raiding someone soon. But just to let everyone know, we're looking for people to join Team Dino. We need animators, as well as if you just want to help out on pieces of it. We need to talk to some people. So hit us up on Discord if we're in any of your Discords, and see if you want to join the team. Also, I started a new series. If you're part of my YouTube, which is same name, Mighty Vicious, where I'm doing one-on-one interviews with people to go over specific topics or specific creations of theirs, as well as if they just want to shoot the breeze about dreams. That's like 5 to 10 minutes or 5 to 15 minutes, trying to keep it short, do something short form. So if you're interested, just hit me up. And it's audio only. For those of you that don't want to be in video, if you're like, I'm not talking about you. You have a whole thing. Like Zodira, you have like your whole avatar and all. You're on that Gorillaz vibe. Don't worry about that. But yeah, if you want to do it, just audio, talk dreams, talk your creations, talk your theory of creation, whatever. I'm here for it. So get in touch with us for those two things. And Jamie, you want to walk us out while I figure out what to do with all these lovely people that just came?
I mean, we got to rate them on. I believe Keld is streaming, so maybe we can push him his way.
Indeed.
But yeah, if you're interested in working with us on Dino, a lot of you know the project that we're working on. We're expanding the team. We need more involvement. We want more of the Dreams community involved with the project. We've got a lot of big plans for it. There's a lot to be done. So if you're up for it, feel free to message us on Twitter. I'm at Lucid_Nebula. Mighty Vicious is at Mighty Vicious, and I will post the our Discord into the chat for anybody who has not already joined. Feel free to join our Discord and hit us up on there as well.
Indeed. So everybody, thank you, Zodira, for joining us. Really appreciate you being here. And she is probably the most underutilized piece of Dino that we have.
Yeah.
But it's not because of her willingness to work, or it's just us getting everything ready so she can do her work. So even she will have more than enough to do very soon.
She will have her time.
Yes. But yeah, if y'all have questions, reach out to Zodira as far as that logic goes, because she knows what she's talking about, unlike me.
Yeah.
Yep.
I'm always up for helping people with logic as well. Like,
And voice acting. If you need voices, go to her. And then if you need a male voice, come to me. That's just let me ride her coattails, guys. Jesus. Anyway, we will catch up with all of you later, and thank you for joining us for another week. Next week we have Tap. Oh no, next week is Dite the Goddess, and then April 2nd is Tap. So yeah, see y'all later.
Bye.
Bye.